Hi guys, it's Constance Stanleys, and you are tuning in to this girl vent. I hope you guys are ready to express with me because I've been bottling a lot in and I'm just ready to speak. I hope you guys are in a good mood. I hope your day's going well. Today we're going to be talking about attitude fit for your calling. Attitude fit for your calling. Guys, when I saw, the reason why we're going to discuss this is because I saw something that made me feel that I needed to vent on this particular subject, because I felt like a lot of people were unhappy where they currently were, or they were not particularly pleased with where life had taken them. And so whatever they were doing right now, the kind of attitude that they were showing wasn't really, let's just say, the best attitude. So I'll tell you what I saw, and it's a quote, and it says, "Do what you're called to do so that you can stop having an attitude." And I thought that was really cool because number one thing I like to talk about is calling or purpose or your dream or aspirations, although sometimes your dream and your calling are probably not in the same boat, so you might need to check that. But I just wanted to speak briefly on that, just to start off. When you have your calling and then you decide to not follow that calling, I feel like deep inside you will be unsettled. I feel like you will be upset. I just feel like you won't be able to be who you're really supposed to be, because I feel like when you are within your calling, or you're in that race or running that lane within your calling or trying to reach your calling, then you have a better attitude. So I'll give you an example. Sometimes you see people who work in a job that they don't like, okay? And every single day they hate being there. And what happens is that they become snappy, they become irritable, they are just not happy to be where they currently are in their life. And a lot of the time I feel like it's probably because we don't really know who to blame. We don't know if we should take the blame for ourselves, or if we should blame family, or if we should blame culture or the church or media or friends or peer pressure. We don't really know who to allocate the blame to. But when I think about your calling, I think about destiny, I think about purpose, I think about what has been tailor-made for you or tailor-made for me, something that fits you to a T. And I feel like when you are outside of that, it's extremely difficult to become the person who you are supposed to be, because I feel like your identity is closely tied, or it ties in very well with your calling. So your identity and your calling, I feel like they're in one bubble and they come together. And I feel as you continue to find your calling, or you continue to build yourself in your calling, then you continue to develop your identity. That's what I feel like. So a lot of the time we see people who live for weekends, and that was something I had a huge problem with. For example, you go to work on Monday and you hate doing what you're doing. Tuesday, you hate it. You don't want to be there. You just can't stand it. You wish that the building was on fire when you came so that you'd have an excuse to go back home. You'd find any excuse to not have to show up for work. Wednesday, you really don't want to be there either. Thursday, oh my God, the weekend's coming, finally. Friday, you're itching. You're literally at the edge of your seat just to, hit that particular time so that you can go and leave and have your weekend. And sometimes when we continue to live for weekends, and I'm not saying that living for weekends is a completely terrible thing, because, it's rest. Everyone looks forward to their rest. But there's something very exciting about being where you're supposed to be and working hard to be in that particular place. I'll give you an example. So there's this really cool story in the Bible that I really love, and it's the story of this guy called Jacob. And he fell in love with this girl, Rachel, and he had to work 7 years to marry her. And there was this really cool part in the Bible where it says that those 7 years that he had to work just so he could marry her were like a few days in his mind, because he was so excited. He was just happy that at the end of those 7 years, he was going to get Rachel. And when I think of chasing my passion, when I think of chasing my dream, when I think of chasing my calling, every single work that I put, even when it's exhausting, even when it's tiring, I count everything as an adventure, because my passion is there. I'm making my passion sweat. And it makes me kind of hopeful. It makes me happy towards the future. And when it comes to that particular thing, my attitude is never one of like distaste or I really wish I wasn't here or something like that. And even when I get stuff like that, I'm reminded again by my love for what I'm doing, by my love for my calling. A lot of people are not, I don't want to say privileged, but a lot of people do not have that opportunity to be in a particular place where they absolutely love what they're doing. And there's so many various reasons why that happened. That could be family, that could be, family choices, where I'll tell you guys a story actually, and then I'll get back on track. When I was growing up, so in Nigeria, if you read a lot, usually the career choice for you is law. So all my life I was expected to be a lawyer, and I thought that's what I wanted to do as well. I was like, yeah, that's my goal. I'm gonna become a lawyer and I'm gonna save the world whilst doing law. A couple years into that, growing up and really getting to understand myself, understand who I am, my identity, and fine-tuning what I felt my destiny was, or what I felt my passion was, and looking at my dreams and setting them kind of like against my calling and seeing if they matched and all that kind of stuff. I started realizing that law really wasn't for me. And I'm not saying that law is a bad thing, by the way, because that could easily be someone else's dream. You out there, that could be your dream, to become a lawyer, a solicitor, anything, a barrister, a judge. There's nothing wrong with that. But for me, it just wasn't a thing after I really started looking into myself. And sometimes that's the reason why life gets in the way, because we have young people, for example, who have that pressure of your father was an engineer, your grandfather was an engineer, your mother is an engineer, your auntie is an engineer. Why do you want to become a dancer? There's always that moment when you feel as though you're suddenly the black sheep, you don't fit in, you are the only puzzle piece that literally there is no space for you, you're too jagged, you just don't fit into the norm of what the expected outcome that your family may have in their dreams or whatever for you based on your future. And sometimes that gets in the way, and we find ourselves living a life that every single morning we're grumpy, our attitude is not the best because we're cranky, we snap, and we might have short bursts of enjoyment, or achievement, even in that particular thing that you knew you never really wanted to do before. You might have like little, bits of joy and whatnot, but sometimes you just feel as though, but this is not what I want to do. And there are people who spend the majority of their lives doing that. They get that job at 25 and they work there until their retirement at 65. That's a big deal. For me, that's a huge, huge, huge amount of your time, of your life, to do something that you feel deep inside you're actually not supposed to be doing. And it makes you to have certain reactions or responses to things. And this is why I said attitude, fit for your calling. Another flip side to this is sometimes, I'll give an example. I used to work in a particular place. I used to work at the bookmakers, and I tell this story all the time. There was a morning I was going into work, and I remember I was on a bus and the bus was going past, and I remember looking, this is a real life story. I remember looking at the shop, because it was the bookmakers. I remember looking, and I genuinely was hoping within myself that the shop had experienced some type of damage that would cause me to just stay on that bus and continue going home, or just get off and get on another route home and whatnot. I literally was thinking in my head, yeah, this shop has to be burnt down, because I really didn't want to be there that day, and I didn't want to be there any other day, to be honest with you. But I had to be there because I needed money. I needed to look after myself. I needed to pay my uni fees and that kind of thing. So these are reasons, but it never, and this is where the attitude part comes in. While I was there, even though I knew I didn't want to be there, I was always striving towards my passion. I always knew, because, for example, I was working in that job because I wanted to be able to save money for my uni fees. I was in uni because I wanted to be able to get a better education or a better understanding of the field that I really wanted to be in, which was in writing, which was in the arts, in publishing, in being an author. And everything was tied in. So whenever I was at work, even though deep in my heart I genuinely loathed being there, but I was still extremely jovial. I was always bubbly. I was always happy. I was always welcoming to my staff. I was always making sure that my attitude was fit for my calling. My attitude was fit for my purpose, because you never know. You could be in a place that you hate, but the person that you need to get you to where you want to be, real time, real life, happens to come into the place where you hate. Are you really gonna give them a stinky attitude? Are you really gonna not embrace them and show them that you are fit enough for your future, or for the perfect designed version of yourself that you aspire to be? I just feel like when it comes to having an attitude, you have to prepare yourself for your achievement. You have to be ready. You hear those stories of women who buy their wedding gown years before they even have a boyfriend. Forget being asked to marry, engagement. They have their wedding dress ready. They have the shoes, they have the veil, they have everything ready, and they do not have a partner. And sometimes it seems crazy, and sometimes it's quite ludicrous. Why should I have to go to such an extreme, length to just prepare myself? But that is what preparation is. I had this teacher, one of the best teachers I've ever had, actually. His name was Mr. Stevens, Dr. Matt Stevens, actually, in my high school. And he used to say all the time, if you fail to prepare, then you're preparing to fail. And I held on to that, because there's been moments in my life where I've noticed that in my failure to prepare, I failed because I was not prepared. And that's just how things are. Your attitude, I feel like our attitude has to speak for our future. It has to speak for our future dreams. It has to speak for our future aspirations, our future desires. If you want to get to a particular place, you cannot continue to be cranky. Don't let people know you to be that person that is no one wants to be around, because they know you don't want to be there. They know you don't want to speak to them. They know you don't want to be around them. So then obviously they distance themselves away from you. That for me is a dangerous combination. I feel like if we continue like that, then by the time we get to the place that we're supposed to be, we're not going to have the attitude that is required to stay in that. Because chasing after your dreams, guys, chasing after your passion, discovering your calling and running with your calling and trying to, that is extremely, extremely difficult. You are going to face everything that you were facing in other places that you didn't want to be. It's still life. You're not exempt from harsh treatment or trials and tribulations, as it were. But if you plan your mindset, if you set your mind to have a positive outlook, even when things are not that great, or at least to be honest with yourself, but to still have hope, because hope is such a powerful tool. To have hope in what you're doing, and always to see an end goal, and just to be positive, and to just, be happy and be that person that makes a difference when they walk into the room. Be yourself, obviously, but if yourself is naturally grumpy, I don't believe that such a thing exists. So I feel like that's a time for, pros and cons list. I did a pros and cons list when I was about 18 or so, 18, 19, something like that, or 20, I can't remember. And I did that list because I wanted to know which part of myself wasn't really fit for where I saw myself in the next 5 years. And I crossed out a lot of things. When I saw the pros, some of the pros I even wrote were actually cons, and some of the cons I wrote were actually pros. So it's just about really looking into yourself, studying yourself, and really understanding that if you are not prepared, if you don't set yourself up properly, when you get to where you need to be, it's going to be the same story as when you were where you didn't want to be. I hope that's making a lot of sense. Now let's talk about attitude. So we hear like a lot of this is for the people who are already in their calling. There are those people who are naturally, divas or whatever the case may be, and they're known for being spoiled, they're known for being a bit bratty, and all of a sudden that is something people aspire towards. Me personally, I don't agree with that. I feel like when you are in not even when you are, we are relatable beings, relational beings, and we interact with people. We evolve because we continue to interact with people. So I speak to you, I learn from you, you speak to me, you learn from me. We're trading. That's what we do. That's what humans do. And the more we do that, the more we evolve, right? So you need other people, right? When you are around other people, there is a certain level of courtesy, I guess, or just politeness, just understanding that I believe people should have. And a lot of the times people are already within their dream, job, they're within their dream career, they're doing what they always said they had wanted to do from when they were 5 years old, but something's missing. And usually when you look at some people and you hear that around them people actually don't like working with them, it's because their attitude stinks. Having a bad attitude, even though you're in your dream, doesn't actually fulfill anything as far as I'm concerned. I believe that when you have a calling or when you have a purpose, it's not just for self-benefit, it's for the benefit of others. So if you're only adding to someone, so let's say I'm working for you and you pay me, and you believe just because you're paying me is enough for you to be rude to me, for example, or for you to be, I don't know, diva-ish to me or whatever, or just to be spiteful, I guess, or malicious, or whatever the case may be, you are still not fulfilling that purpose. There are many people that even though you are paying their bills, or you're the one paying their, salary or wages or whatever the case may be, if you are not still adding to them mentally, emotionally, I personally feel that you're not doing your job, especially when it comes to your calling. So you are a singer or whatever. Let's say, for example, you're a singer and you have people around you, but you speak to them like trash. It doesn't matter if you're putting $1 million into their account. You're breaking them down mentally. You're breaking them down psychologically. So your money actually counts for nothing. Therefore, what is your gift about? This is the question I ask personally. I don't know about you guys, but this is what I ask. When I think about things like that, if your gift doesn't benefit someone, then what is it doing in your life? That sounds a bit harsh. Let me try and say that in a nicer way. If your gift doesn't make someone else feel happy, it doesn't have to be the whole world, just one person or whatever. If your gift doesn't help someone, if your gift isn't assisting anyone, why are you calling it a gift? So this is the reason why I believe attitude is a big deal. The way we relate with people, the way we speak to people has to be checked. The way we speak to ourselves, that is a huge problem. A lot of the time the way we see ourselves is so low and so, okay, I've had periods in my life where I literally looked at myself and thought, okay, I'm really not worth the dreams and the aspirations that God has for me. I'm not worth the plans that God has set for me. Therefore, I don't know what I'm doing here, and I don't think I need to be here to do that. I want to do my own thing, something easier, something away from what He wants, because I don't think I should waste God's time like that. This is speaking from a Christian background. And there are a lot of people that think like that, and sometimes it becomes even more detrimental, because it gets to a point where people don't even look at it from a spiritual background. They look at it just from a normal family, friendship, normal relationship background. Does anyone really love me? Does my family even notice I'm here? Do my friends actually care about me? Does my partner wish well for me? Is there a point in me actually being here? So, attitude. So, number one, preparing yourself for your future. Having the right attitude. So, if you fail to prepare, you prepare to fail. 2, your attitude towards other people when you are in that place of power, when you're already on a pedestal, when you're already in an exalted position, let's just put it that way. How do you treat other people around you? If you treat them like trash, then your gift is trash. 3, yeah, CC's coming for everyone. 3, your attitude to yourself. Now, how we see ourselves is extremely important. A lot of the time, we don't actually give ourselves enough credit. I'm not saying to be pompous. I'm not saying to be extremely boastful. I'm just saying cut yourself some slack. There are billions of people all over the world, but none of them are you. Okay? You are you. You are rare. You are the rarest version of yourself. You are the only person that can do what you do. And your attitude, your outlook on how you see yourself completely, all those things, they are very important, because they will teach you how to relate to other people. For example, if you always see yourself kind of lowly, and I don't mean that in a humility kind of way, I mean that in a lack of self-esteem kind of way, i.e. troublesome, problem, dangerous kind of way, problematic kind of way. If you always see yourself in that kind of way, it's best to seek help. That's number one. And to really start speaking out about it. Because usually when people, it's funny how people who have low self-esteem, it's easy for them to get taken advantage of. And that's because other people can see that you don't really think highly of yourself. So please, when it comes to attitude, aside from how you treat other people and preparing for your future, you have to also prepare yourself mentally, emotionally, psychologically. You have to make sure that you're sound. You have to always make sure that you're looking after yourself in a way that teaches you how to love yourself. It's really weird. The part in the Bible where it's like, love your neighbor as you love yourself. I never really saw that love yourself part until like a while ago, because we tend to miss that. We just want to, you love your neighbor, but do you actually love yourself? And the reason why some people don't know how to love their neighbor is because they've never really loved themselves. So understand that there is that part of the attitude that pertains to you. You have to take care of you. You have to make sure that you are prepared in your mind. You have to have that emotional intelligence. You need to be able to make good decisions for yourself, for your future, for those around you. And just be at a place or at a state of mind that is good. Challenge yourself. Learn something new. Do something that you've never done before. Nothing, extremely dangerous or, ridiculous. But something that will change your mind or take you out of the environment that you're always at. Sometimes when we continue to hear the same things or see the same things, it shuts us down, especially if those things we're seeing are negative or they play with our mind. A lot of people are still being blackmailed in their own families. They're being taken advantage of. Sometimes you have to separate yourself from that so that you can have a clearer mind. Clarity is so important when it comes to attitude, when it comes to how you relate to yourself, how you speak to yourself in your own mind. How do you see yourself? How do you want other people to see you? So, guys, just to round up, I'm just going to list it all again. Number 1, if you fail to prepare, you're preparing to fail. So, guys, have the attitude that you need, or that is suitable for your calling, or that's suitable for your purpose now. You don't need to wait. Secondly, when you are in that place of power, you are in a high place, your attitude towards other people counts, because it is not truly a gift if you are not gifting people. If your attitude is a barrier between you and other people, then your gift actually counts for nothing. It's 0. 3, your attitude with yourself. How do you see yourself? Love yourself. Take care of yourself. Go out and watch a movie by yourself or something. Watch a comedy or a love movie, or go to the spa and get a massage, or just read or take time. Do other things. Learn new languages. Go traveling. Get to understand yourself and become your own student. These things are very helpful when it comes to attitude. So, guys, I'm gonna have to love you and leave you, but I'm literally just hoping that you guys have picked up something from what we've been talking about today. Attitude is key. All right, guys. It's been lovely. And obviously, I'm your host, Constance Stanleys. And you've been listening to This Girl Vents. You can talk to me on thisgirlvents@przfm.com. That's thisgirlvents@przfm.com. Don't forget to express yourself and to keep it real. No unpretentious discussions. Just be truthful to yourself and be honest. And yes, guys, the right attitude.